We're super excited today. We're sitting at our Scandinavian Ranch projects here on Earl. And one of the things that we talk a lot about is what makes us different as a builder. Well, there's lots of things that you do see when you come into the house, but the things that truly stand apart for us are the things that you don't see. And so today we're going to talk about some of the minute, small details that most people won't recognize that really help to set our homes apart from the rest. So we're sitting in this beautiful laundry room, and one of the things that really drives me nuts about laundry rooms is how deep the overall appliance is for washers and dryers. Now the appliance in itself, ranges about 30 inches deep. But what people don't realize is that behind it, you have water lines and duct lines that allows you to be able to utilize these machines as intended. Well, what this typically does is it pushes that washer and dryer out about 36 inches. And so in this particular detail, we were able to actually fur out this wall that allowed us to be able to have a larger pocket behind the washer and dryer and allowed us to be able to get this more minimalistic detail where we only have an inch reveal. But as you can see, the washer and dryer sit flush within the cabinet space. And so you're not seeing any of the factory edging that you would normally see as it protrudes out into the room. This is a tough one. Ultimately, no one will actually realize how we're able to accomplish this. They'll only notice that it's in line with the design features of the home. But at this end panel, it actually recesses about 6 inches, which allows us to be able to flush those units up appropriately. So as we move to the kitchen, there's gonna be quite a few details in here that you don't see. Now, normally you would see some outlets that would be residing here in the backsplash, but since the design intent was to keep a full height slab backsplash, we wanted to make sure that we removed any of those imperfections out of that slab. Not only does this make for easier installation, but it also looks for a cleaner, minimalistic, and simplistic design. In order to do that, we still have to meet code. So when it comes to areas like this, we find it imperative to add a plug mold detail that actually mounts underneath the upper cabinets that allow us not only to be able to have additional outlets in place for any appliances that you would be utilizing on your countertop, think KitchenAid, toaster, toaster oven, or any of the other appliances that would obviously need electricity. It allows for us to be able to tuck it up clean and neatly underneath the cabinet space where you won't see it. What really helped this detail come together was our friends over at Kane State Carpentry that were willing to come back to be able to put this additional trim piece that really allowed that plug mold to completely disappear in the recessed space underneath these uppers. So let's talk about the second location that we feel would be majorly beneficial to have plug mold. Now the code requires us to have an outlet within 12 inches of the outside edge of the overall marble countertop. Now, as we go more modern, we find our designers wanting to waterfall this edge down with a slab detail. And while this still is relatively clean with the Decora switch, we found that there's a better way to handle this specific code requirement. So let's go take a peek at how we're handling it in the future. So at our Scandinavian Ranch, this was an afterthought, meaning that it was essentially a change order that we wanted to put into play. But we definitely didn't want an outlet showing and exposed to the main living spaces of the home. And so we were able to integrate a plug mold detail here at the corner seat, which will allow anyone that's doing homework here or prepping for work in the morning, an easy access point to be able to plug in any of their electronics, computers, charge their additional electronic accessories. However, in the future, we planned for this specifically, and we've actually integrated a full channel that runs the whole distance of the island, which allows us to be able to have a plug mold strip that runs the whole distance of the island, allowing for more accessibility for anyone utilizing the island as a workstation. Take a look at some of our videos of our Mid-Mountain Shadows project to be able to understand how this detail comes together. The last item that you're not going to see here located on the island is going to be our 1-inch tube steel frame that acts as a subtop for the cantilever that comes across, that creates our knee space, and that allows for a minimalistic mitered edge without having to provide a true skirt. Helps with the overall load and capacity that could be sitting on this island in the future. By integrating this tube steel, it really gives us a clean, simplistic island detail for the most discerning client. One of the things that our tube steel frame does is create structural rigidity for the island. And while underneath you can only see the tube steel frame painted black at the cantilever, ultimately that tube steel frame runs the whole width of the island and acts as an additional base for the subtop, which allows for this metal detail to truly work as a cantilever, supporting the island for any additional weight capacities that might reside on it during home ownership. So one of the things that has become very popularized by social media would be an appliance barn. Now, what exactly is an appliance barn? Well, we're able to hide our outlet directly inside the cabinet box, and we're able to extend our countertop all the way through the upper pantry cabinet. Not only does this take a few extra steps, but it's definitely something that stands apart and allows for you to be able to keep additional appliances in here without marring, scratching any of the cabinet box that would normally reside in this location where the countertop currently sits. Not only do I feel like this is a great feature, but it adds a ton of functionality to a pantry such as this. So as mentioned before, it's not always feasible to get plug milled in certain locations. Wherever there's an upper cabinetry over a countertop provides a perfect opportunity, as seen here in our third plug mold location within the kitchen / butler's pantry space. A lot of things that are behind the wall that you don't see, but one of the things that I want to talk about that really helps with the overall livability of the home would be our batting insulation that's used for soundproofing between any of the common living spaces and bedrooms, as well as any plumbing walls, to be able to reduce the overall noise of water traveling either through the drain lines or, in this case, through all the PEX lines for all our water supply throughout the house. So what do I mean by common spaces to bedrooms? This is currently what we would consider a teen room or a flex space, and it's essentially surrounded by all of the main guest bedrooms in the home. So ultimately we have soundproofing that goes the length of this whole room, so that ultimately when people are in here watching TV, that it's more comfortable for those that are trying to get sleep, study, or just take care of items in the private confines of their own space. Ultimately, one of the best uses of insulation here in the Valley would be spray foam insulation, which we've utilized for all of the cathedralized truss details in the attic space. You could check out some of our previous videos that talk about the benefits of spray foam insulation and why we utilize it for energy efficiency here in the Valley. So I get it, this might be cheating a little bit, but ultimately we were always integrating a tech closet into our design, which allows for smart home capacity for any of the future needs or wants of the homeowner. So our homes come rack ready. They come with our harness that allows for all of our components to come to one centralized location for any future demands that might be required. So at first look, there's not going to be too many details that are missed in this gorgeous primary bathroom suite. However, one of the details that really bothered me and our on-site construction manager was this squared off edge of the cabinetry that resided in this location. Once we were able to put our cast free-formed concrete sink basins in place, they had a small round, about 1/8 of an inch, and so we were able to have our cabinetry company come back and match that detail along this corner edge of the cabinetry, which created a smooth transition between this beautiful concrete countertop and its equally stunning walnut cabinetry finish. So we're currently sitting in our garage space, and there's a few details that I want to point out that most people won't notice. The first is going to be this dedicated outlet that will be utilized for any car charging needs. Obviously, we know that there's a lot of EVs out there these days, whether it be your Teslas, your Rivians, or even any of your high-end luxury auto manufacturers are getting into this space. And so we want to be able to have at least one dedicated switch that allows for any of your car charging needs. The second item that I want to talk about is something that you'll probably notice, but it's a subtle detail that we briefly touched base on in a previous video, so go check it out. But we've consistently integrated our jack lift system or direct shaft lift that reduces the clutter of any of the motor-driven belts or chain systems that typically reside here in the center of the garage. This provides a massive benefit as it removes any of the components that would make it more difficult for any overhead storage capacity needs in this gracious vaulted ceiling garage. There's probably a few other details that we missed, but this gives you a small taste of all the things that we're thinking of as a builder. So if you have any questions about the details discussed in this video and or looking to build a custom home here in the Valley, reach out to us, DM us, subscribe below if you're just interested in our content. We appreciate you following along, and have a great day.